My name's Tim, Trophy Coach Tim. This is a short video that is kind of an introduction to your personality. A lot of people don't realize where their attitudes come from, their personality comes from, the decisions they make, and so forth. So I have a process that has to do with 2 or 3 different categories that kind of evaluate your personality. And this first one is called actually styles. And what I mean by styles is that it's the way a person is kind of experienced or taught or expected to perform from the outside in. And the way I describe that primarily, even though everybody has their own story, everybody has their own influences, there is a lot of influence that's created in the first 4, 5, 6 years of a person's life. And from that point of view, they basically set how the world is and what their style is. I also like to use kind of as a sketch, as a demonstration, and this is just purely a demonstration, but it is to kind of give you an idea of what I mean by the pressure from the outside in. And I use what I call a typical, if there is such a thing, a typical dysfunctional family. And just for descriptive purposes, let's assume that the male or the husband is a drinking alcoholic and is probably a functioning drunk, but actually has a lot of alcoholism. And let's assume that the wife, the co-addict, the enabler, is also dealing with all this kind of stress. And I'll go through that kind of initial talk, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's say that this father and mother, and they get together, they drink a little bit, they have incidents, they have things, but they have a child. And let's say the first child that comes into this family, since he's all-knowing and very sensitive and emotionally absorbent, will know that there's a problem in this family. There's something going on in this family. There's something stressful in this family. And what I'm trying to say is that from that information, from that data, from that stress, from that energy, from the outside in, the child will take on a conclusion and say, there's something wrong with this family. I don't have any idea what it is, but it won't be me. And what that means is they realize that they have to hold the family together, and the role that they have to take is what psychiatrists, psychologists, and counselors say is hero. That is, that the person that will be very, very successful in certain things with the subliminal or subconscious or instincts is that this family must be okay or they wouldn't have a child like that. We call that the hero. And let's say that survives and that holds the family together. They may not talk very much during the week, but they sit together and they go to the ball games or the soccer games or the activities, cheerleading, whatever that is. And just for demonstration, let's say there's another child that's born into this family, and they have the same conclusion, is that there's something wrong with this family. There's not much intimacy going on. There's a lot of energy that's negative, that's power. There's a lot of power plays going on. And so the child will basically use that information from the outside in and will come up with in essence, the way they look at the world, their style, and that is that there's something wrong with this family. And because the hero is already taken, that category is already filled, and they'll never be able to compete with that role, they will take the antithesis of that, or the different style, and they basically say, there's something wrong with this family, there's a problem with this family, that problem might as well be me. And the child takes on what we call, psychologically counseling, a scapegoat. This is a person that's kind of the negative energy, the sin eater, if you will, is a person that absorbs the negative energy in the family, and actually, in a kind of a subconscious way, when they get in trouble, the family actually comes together. The family may not talk, they may be fighting during the week, but when Johnny gets in trouble at school, the husband and the wife go to meet with the principal, and they seem to be together, they seem to be on the same page. So the message that the child learns is that I can hold the family together by being the problem, being the troublemaker. Again, remember the emphasis on this is that's information from the outside in. And this just for chuckles, let's go to the next level. Let's say another child was born, comes into the same situation, makes the same conclusion, looks at the situation and says, boy, there's something wrong with this family. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of negative energy. But the hero's been taken. The scapegoat's been taken. So they end up being what I call, or we call, or a lot of us call the lost child. And that's the person that doesn't have a strong opinion one way or the other. Basically, the way they answer things, they shrug their shoulders. If you ask them opinion, they don't know. They don't care if it's red or black, either kind of things. They just kind of go down the middle, and they would be what we call the lost child. And just for chuckles, we go to say there's even a fourth one that comes into the situation. A lot of drama, a lot of trauma, a lot of negative energy. The hero's taken, the scapegoat's taken, the lost child's taken. This person will take on what we call the clown. They'll be the funny one. They will bring levity. They'll bring some kind of relief, comic relief, if you will, to the situation. And, you know, this can go on and on. And obviously, a lot of people are different combinations of that, and some people have strong that way. But the emphasis is that this energy is from the outside in, and that's the way the person looks at the world. And they look at this subconsciously when they're little. They don't remember making the decision. They just know that that's part of their personality. Those are the things that would be, you know, if they end up having this complex called daddy's little girl or mommy's little boy or mommy's little girl, things like that, the little princess. If the mother has an issue and they want to make the little princess out of the daughter, that's influence, that's pressure from the outside in. And all I'm saying is that everybody has a part of their personality that was influenced from the energy from the outside in, and I call that a style. And that is something to identify, something to be aware of, and realize that that is something you learned. That wasn't something you're actually created by or destined to be. It's something you learned, which is good news is that it can be unlearned. And there are consequences to all of these things, even in the addiction cycle. Let's say the father's a drinker and the mom, usually if they're co-addicts or something, their choice of relief or choice of chemicals will be prescription drugs or religion. The hero, their choice of chemicals will be anything that's socially acceptable, beer, scotch. The scapegoat is anything that's illegal, that's not socially acceptable. Want to go have a beer? He'd say, absolutely not. Why do you want to have a beer? Let's do something illegal. The lost child, of course, like hallucinogens, they don't want to get high. They don't want to be sociable. They just want to get gone. And the clown, actually, as we go full cycle, most likely will take on the drinking and the habits and the identity of the addictive parent. It means they'll drink like the dad in this situation I have. So anyway, that's just an example of what we mean by styles, and this is a personality, part of your personality that's influenced from the outside in. And it's important to think about that and go over the list that I've got in the back of, you'll pick up the list of family tree, and you're going to identify people's styles and your family of origin so that you'll be able to see where your personality came from.